Now live on the Red Pill Diaries. And once again, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us on another edition of the most powerful platform for truth, bar none, on God's green earth. This is your platform for education, elevation, and edification. This is the Red Pill Diaries. I'm your host, your brother, and your friend Rashid. And we have a very special guest coming from across the pond in the UK, retired Royal Navy Commodore Steve Jermy, as we bring him on live. Thank you for joining us today, Steve.
Yeah, pleasure to join you, Rashid. Hopefully you can hear me okay from all this way away.
I hear you very well. Steve, before we go into this Iran stuff, there's been a tectonic shift in the elections in Europe with Hungary. Orban has just lost the election. What will that mean for NATO? What will that mean for Russia? And what will that mean for the EU?
It's a really good question. I think it's many will be disappointed, and I think there is an open question about the extent to which the EU have been interfering in the election. They have a track record of this in other places, such as Georgia, for example, and elsewhere. I don't think there's going to be immediate impact, other than perhaps to harden views on Russia, but at a time when it's stupid to have hardened views on Russia, because it's clear to me and many other independent analysis that Russia is winning the war and very unlikely to lose. And furthermore, the Americans are much more interested in what's going on in the Gulf. So the chance of the war being won are slim. So what we really should be looking at, it doesn't matter whether it's Orban or anybody, we should be thinking about how Europe diplomatically engages with Russia rather than tries to double down on a defeat, which is surely bound to come. So we'll see. I hope that many Europeans start to see the impact, or when they see the impact on energy prices in Europe, and they realize that by refusing to talk, simply to withdraw our support, make sure that the United States, not just the White House, but the United States understood that we were withdrawing our support because we believed it would be in our national interest to withdraw our support, and then start to work out how we could work independently with Europeans and other G7 countries such as Japan, Korea, and so on, to get ourselves into some sort of negotiated situation in Iran where we're actually opening the straits, at least for ourselves. Because at the moment, the idea of blockading the blockade is, I thought previous ideas were didn't show signs of huge competence strategically, but this one goes even further down the route of showing no strategic competence. I'm afraid it's bound to make things worse.
Could you believe? Do you think that a lot of this strategic incompetence and ineptitude of the leadership of the United States and even of Europe could it be a part of the collapse of the American global order led? And I think one of the reasons, and I said this on multiple shows, is that they thought that they could just take the oil from Venezuela. They could then use that to weaken Russia's strategic ally, Cuba, right on America's border. And then they could move on to Iran because Senator Lindsey Graham, he let the cat out of the bag prior to this lull in the war, when he said that we've taken the oil and the gas from Venezuela, and if we take the oil and the gas from Iran, we'll sit on 33% of the world's oil and gas, and that would be a big boon for the American economy and the dollar. So could this be I know it's strategically moving towards China and Russia, but could this be a ploy to try to maintain the dollar as the world's reserve currency, and to give the American empire another day to breathe?
I guess it could be, but I mean, an attempt, if you like. I mean, I think that it's an attempt that not many moments of rational thinking make you realize that it's an attempt that is generally. And so we will see, for example, as it becomes more difficult to freight cargoes around the world, things will become more expensive to buy around the world. So it's not just fuel prices going up, but products and services going up. I suspect in the not soon after that, we'll start to see the input prices for manufactured goods go up. So, for example, if it becomes more expensive to make steel, then because it requires critically hydrocarbons, and those hydrocarbons will be more expensive, then so the price of anything that is the dividends that again that they have to drive their business models. So is it possible that we'll have another great financial crash? I would not be at all surprised if we did. I cannot give you any probability on it, but if I had to bet, I may be wrong. It's very, very difficult to model this any way other than intuitively, Rashid.
Thank you so much for joining me. I know you're across the pond and there's a difference in time. I want to get you back on the show again when you have some time. I want to thank you so much for joining us on the Red Pill Diaries. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Rashid. Keep up the good work, because it's people like you and the other people on the alternative media who really matter. Because I find so much of the press on this side of the pond are very, very stovepiped. And I see it, I think I see it on the other side of the pond as well. So people need these alternative sources of media so they can get their news. And my view is the news should be presented in the way I tried to do it, was without ideology, but with rational analysis that's based on strategic evidence. So keep up the good work, Rashid.
Thank you, and I'll send you the video, and be safe and be blessed.
Yeah, thank you.
Everyone, hit the like button and subscribe. And I like to say, as I always do before I go off the air, do right by others, not because there's some material gain to be had. Do right by others because it's the right, the humane, and the godly thing to do. Because even when no one else is watching you, remember, God Almighty is watching you. And as my late, great, and beautiful mother would always say, God sits high on the throne of power, but he looks low at the actions of man. Know that I love each and every one of you who loves truth, but know that the love that I have for you will always pale in comparison to the love that God has for you. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true, but above all things, remember to stay righteous. Hey, Mom, your baby boy loves you more than life.